All right, welcome back. We are taking one last pass at really putting hair and makeup on our UCI. One of the things that makes it easy to adjust things in the UCI is, well, the native properties. And in fact, we've already been doing that. You may remember that very early on, we went over and we started adjusting things, and we changed the header and we changed the legends. You could kind of just keep going down that path. Everything you drag on, you could just go to its native property and adjust. And to be fair, there are certain things that you just have to adjust through native properties, like button size. Like the only way to adjust a button size outside of like clicking and dragging to make it bigger is by adjusting its native properties. But pretty much everything else about these controls, you have another option. Now, let's lay this ground. If we're doing a smaller project and we only have a handful of things, then totally just drag the buttons on or the fader or whatever it is and adjust the size and adjust the colors and do anything like that kind of stuff you need to do. It's definitely the path of least resistance, and it's a fine way to accomplish things. But we can really start getting out there and have a lot of controls. The whole idea of having a style sheet becomes far more valuable to you. So what is a CSS style sheet after all anyway? It's a cascading style sheet. And where it really comes from is from the need to be able to take this one web page that has existed and then apply it here to this business and apply it here to this other business, except for that, well, you need the three businesses to look differently. And so they all have their own colors and everything. And so you take the same design, boom, 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 but then you can go into the style sheet and you can make a few global changes that cascade down to make all of the little underlying changes. Here's how this works out in a UCI. Imagine if this is not the only conference room that Overlay Industries is going to want to have. Maybe they're going to want to have the Trinity room and the Brazos room and the Red River room, because those are names of rivers in Texas, where I'm from. Maybe each of them wants to have slightly different colors and themes. If we took the same UCI and we copied and pasted and we did everything with native properties, that would mean that if room 1 wanted to have all of this blue theme, then we'd have to go touch every single button, right? Click, select, click, select, click, select, click, select, and then go change every single property. It's not that it's hard, it's just that it is overwhelming in the tediousness, okay? If, on the other hand, we built the UCI the way I'm going to show you how to build the UCI by making use of a style sheet, then it's, oh, every one of these buttons follows a certain style, and then all I have to do is go into the one style sheet and change. This room's going to have this particular hue of colors, this room's going to have this particular hue of colors, and this room's going to have this particular hue of colors. Everything else about the rooms are exactly the same, and those little changes just go, right? They just like little raindrops on a window. They cascade down and make all the little changes along the way. And you're not spending 8 hours just selecting buttons to change colors. Native properties, like we said, it's nice, it's easy, it's quick, it's dirty. It doesn't scale very well. And sometimes that's quite okay. Other times it's like, nope, I really need a solution that works at scale. CSS is a solution that works at scale. So your experience with CSS is really going to kind of come down into two different camps. One, somebody is going to give you a gift of a style sheet. Guess what? We've given you two gifts. We've given you a dark theme and a light theme. We'll get to those in a minute. They're going to be perfectly editable. You can change them however you want to. It is our free gift to you. The other is you can write your own, but again, we're gonna give you two of them, Nate. We're giving you a style sheet.
Yeah.
You're not gonna have to write one for yourself.
That's great.
So let's move forward with applying our style sheets. Here's our task. We are going to install the provided style sheet into your design. We're going to lay out some stuff to curate our user experience. We're going to apply some classes, which is fancy CSS terms that we're going to work through here in a moment. And we're gonna because I'm from Texas and we say gussy, we're gonna gussy up those UCI navigation controls, and we're going to finally add those room volume controls that you were remembering as part of the control scope of work. The very first thing that we need to do is we need to install the style sheets that you've been provided. So at the beginning of this course, you downloaded probably a zip, but invariably you downloaded a handful of files. So for me, when I downloaded everything, I had this starting design. I had a folder called Style Sheets. I had a folder called Overlay Industries Logo. Maybe you have all of these files. Maybe yours is slightly different, but it should be more or less the same. And in fact, we can look here in the Style Sheets. If I open that, you'll see here is our two different style sheets, dark and light. And in fact, if I open one of them, I'm going to open the dark one. You can see that we have two things in that folder. One is a text document called style.css. The extension of this file is .css. And then I have a folder of images, okay? These images are referred to in the style sheet. Let's open the style sheet and look at it for a moment. If I double click on the style sheet, it will open in your favorite text editor. Mine happens to be VS Code. This style sheet does have a basic organization to it. One of the very first things you should recognize is there is this little spot here called root, where we have defined a whole bunch of CSS variables. Now, this is not Lua. This is CSS. This is a whole different way of writing syntax. It has its own rhymes, its own rhythms, and that's not really what this class is about. We're not going to dive too deep into this, aside from saying this is CSS. So what we've done, though, is we have leveraged that same idea of having variables here at the top of the file that get referred to later in the file, because what that means is that I can, for example, I can define right here the color light as FFFFFFFF, also known as white, here at the top of the page. And every subsequent reference to color light goes back up and knows, oh, you mean this particular color. It also means that if I change my mind later, I can just come back to this and change it in the one place, and it updates all of the references everywhere. This is part of the idea of being a programmer. How can I write things as efficiently and lazily as possible, right? But lazy in the right ways. So that's what we mean. Okay, so we set a whole number of CSS variables here at the top of the style sheet. And then we have what's called classes. And so there is, for example, every button that shows up in Q-SYS is going to follow these two different guides for their state. In the off states, they're going to have this background color and this icon color, and they're going to be in this font with this font size and this padding and border radius and border width. And then line 55 says, when the button value parentheses 1, meaning when the button is in the on state. It instead is going to update and take these new properties of having the background color be the color gray light in this case, etc. We have this for buttons, for faders, for group boxes, for meters, for basically everything under the sun in our Q-SYS design here. We also have a number of classes that help us to set up things like colors. We can define certain text colors. We can also define certain things like text size extra large and medium and small. We also can set different button styles. We don't just have to have default buttons. We can have special button styles. And then we also have included for you a whole mess of icons for you to choose from for your designing pleasures. Okay, there's a bunch of them. This particular file runs 700 and almost 800 lines long. Cool. We've got a style sheet. What do we do with it? Well, we've got to get it installed into Q-SYS. We have it on our machine, but we now have to get it into Q-SYS. And once we get it into Q-SYS, then we need to get it into our particular design.